y'all. It's me, Jasmine Jones, licensed clinical social worker, and you are now tuned in to Me on the Floor. Welcome back to Black Girl Therapist in the Wild. How y'all doing today? I'm hot yet again, so I am sprawled out on the floor. I don't care what you gotta say. Leave me alone. So, today we're talking about toxic trauma. What is toxic trauma? Isn't trauma in itself toxic? Well, toxic trauma is not just experiencing trauma, but spreading the trauma that you've experienced around, like a cancer, and infecting other people. It's how trauma in families are spread. It's how, trauma can be spread from person to person, even if it's not in your family. What are some signs of toxic trauma? Well, not only do you not like yourself, but you use that self-hatred based off of the trauma you've experienced in the past to infect other people by becoming a bully, by becoming abusive, by, deciding to abuse your children or any love interest that you have or a coworker. This could be physical, emotional, sexual abuse, assault, things like that, because you cannot deal with your own emotions based off the trauma you experience. Instead of going and saying, I'm going to get help, I'm going to go to therapy, I'm going to deal with this negativity that I have and this pain that I have inside of me. Instead of doing that, the person decides to say, well, it's not my fault this happened to me, it's everyone else's fault. Everyone else is making me feel upset or overwhelmed. So blaming other people, finding that you blame other people a lot for your problems, instead of taking responsibility for the part that you play at this point. Because after a certain point, yes, you were traumatized, but it's always your choice to choose how you respond to that trauma. Am I going to respond by going to therapy, or am I going to respond by beating my children one day? And that's not to say that everybody that is abused or has experienced some kind of long-term period of trauma, complex PTSD, long-term period of trauma, and that's usually where you see toxic trauma is in people that have experienced long-term periods of trauma. It's not to say that you're going to turn out hurting other people. No. A good majority of people, they live healthy, happy lives, and they go to therapy and they work on themselves, or, they may turn that pain inward and, they may hate themselves and be people pleasers and things like that. And then eventually they get tired and then they go get help, but they don't spread it necessarily around to hurt other people. And there's one caveat there, because even the ones that turn it inward and do become people pleasers and hate themselves and punish themselves for every conflict they experience, they can often spread it around in a toxic way, because let's say they have kids, and kids learn how to socialize with other people and how to deal with conflict first and foremost from their parents. So if they're seeing their mom give in to an abuser, or they're seeing their dad allow, his boss at work to shame him all the time, and seeing their parents people please, sometimes that can be spread into the kids, and then they become people pleasers, or they can also become abusers. So see how it gets complicated. There's no straight black and white, like, oh, if this happens then this will happen. It's more so of a complicated amalgamation of things that could happen based off of how people experiencing you on a regular basis take in how you deal with conflict, especially your own children. So things that can help when you have symptoms of toxic trauma, of spreading your issues onto other people. First and foremost, don't shame yourself for the fact that you were traumatized. Something did happen to you. And that means that, that thing that happened to you wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything to deserve to be hurt in that way. But at some point, the second thing you have to do is take responsibility for the hurt that you have caused as a result of the pain that you've experienced. Take responsibility for the abuse that you've caused to others, or take responsibility for your anger or your meanness to people in general, or your manipulative ways. That's another sign of toxic trauma, is being very manipulative to people and trying to get your way in things that can often be hurtful to other people. So when it comes to toxic trauma, it is a spectrum, just like everything is on a spectrum. It needs to be recognized as soon as possible, that, you are hurting other people. That needs to immediately be recognized before or very soon after you hurt your first person. If you notice that you're going around angry all the time at people for no reason, or if you notice you're going around being manipulative to people, if you notice you're going around doing hurtful things to people just to feel better, that I like to call it the quick relief. I do something to quickly relieve myself of this pain, whether it be hurting other people, so you're getting that rush of emotion out by causing someone else pain and feeling like you're in control because it's a control thing. So I am in control of my emotions by causing someone else pain and pushing it onto them instead of me having to actually deal with it. If it's using drugs, in an addictive way, quick relief. That quick burst of drugs makes me feel better until it goes away, and then I feel 10 times worse, and then I need to find the drug again. So I'm always chasing this thing that gives me a quick relief. People can get addicted to abusive behaviors as well, So this thing gives me a quick relief of controlling other people and messing with other people and hurting other people. It makes me feel in control, to be in control of the people in my life, because I never felt in control of anything before. So I'm going to hyper focus on this, this thing where I, am in control of other people. So it's like a quick relief to be manipulative and be hurtful and orchestrate a pain in somebody's life. I can make this person go from happy to sad, and that makes me feel good inside when I do that. So I'm going to do that whenever I get upset or overwhelmed, or if I'm just bored. Trauma makes us unable to deal with anything, any kind of conflictual emotion, whether we're tired, whether we're hungry, whether we're sleepy. I said tired. Sleepy and tired are two different things, trust me. Whether we had a bad day at work, any kind of emotion that makes us feel any kind of conflict inside, trauma makes it difficult for us to deal with it. We go 0 to 100 whenever we have to deal with conflict at all. So anytime especially somebody who exhibits toxic trauma, feels upset in any way, they lash out at others, and they also lash out at themselves. But because they hate that feeling inside that they get, of self-hatred, they put it on to other people. I hate myself, so I'm going to hurt you. And like I said earlier, ways to prevent it is go to therapy, admit you have a problem, take responsibility for it, start to change your life around. If you can, if the people that you have harmed feel safe enough to have you around, at least enough to apologize, you can attempt to apologize. But if they don't feel safe, you have to respect their boundaries. Learning how to respect boundaries. People with toxic trauma don't respect other people's boundaries. They don't believe other people have boundaries. That's that common thing of when people are in relationships and they want to become one. They see other people, oftentimes people that are experiencing toxic trauma need to feel like they're one with somebody else so that they can feel in control of them. And so recognizing that other people have boundaries. You can have a safe relationship with other people without feeling like you have to control them, without feeling like you have to take advantage of them in order to feel like this relationship is safe, this friendship is safe, you know? Just because somebody has boundaries in their own life doesn't mean that they don't like you or they don't want to be around you. So also recognizing that, like, if a part of your toxic trauma is that you feel like people are always going to abandon you, so you need to be in control of them, then it's like, okay, what does abandonment look like? Well, abandonment might just look like people walking away and never coming back, people being manipulative. Does abandonment look like, oh, your friend telling you that they, have a doctor's appointment, so they have to cancel the outing with you that they were going on, but they can reschedule? Is that abandonment, or is that somebody that set a boundary and said, I have a doctor's appointment that day, can we reschedule? Does abandonment look like your significant other being happier and doing things that make them feel good while you're sitting over there feeling sad, and then you feel like their happiness means that they'll leave you one day? Just because someone's happy doesn't mean that they're going to leave you. You have to learn how to be happy as well, so that you both can be happy together and enjoy your lives together. A lot of times that happens with toxic trauma, because a lot of times people have these abandonment issues where, they start to feel like, oh, this person's happy, that means that they're going to leave me, so I need to make them feel sad again. And it's a really horrible cycle. I'm laughing just because it just seems like a lot of energy to waste, just trying to second guess what someone else is going to do or say or feel, and not just letting the person that you care about live their life, and you live your life, and you live both your lives together. So yeah, that is toxic trauma, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you later. Later days.